Okay, welcome folks to our next episode of Coffee with Cow. It's a podcast run by myself and my colleagues here in Learn International. We're a boutique education abroad provider based in Ireland, but offering programming all around the world. Today, we're talking with Ireland Brown, who's an alum of one of our programs, our virtual internship program. But she has an interesting journey that I think a lot of students will really empathize with in terms of having originally planned to come on an in-person internship with ourselves in Dublin. She's an engineering student at the University of Florida in third year. And unfortunately, COVID hit, which cancelled all of our travels and all of the programs all across outbound from the United States. So she chose to spend her time wisely and took up a virtual option for the same internship that she was going to do. And we're here to chat to her today and see what her experience was in that, what her positives were, negatives, any kind of challenges that she had, and what she was thinking along the process. So thanks for chatting with us today, Ireland.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really excited to tell everyone about my unique experience. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, and so yeah, I really love it there.
Tell us a little bit about the original program that you were going to do, and you must have been looking forward to it. I know it was, as you say, the first time that you were going to travel to Europe and particularly Ireland.
So yeah, it was an engineering specific study abroad program in Dublin, Ireland. And I got an email for it from the MAE advisors at my school. I went ahead and applied for it. About 12 students got picked for it, and we were put in a round of interviews with Learn International. And they just asked us about our interests, our major, what we wanted to do with our major. And that way they could reach out to some of the companies in Dublin and place us in one that would be most relevant to what we wanted to do with our career. And we were going to be put in a house with a host family, and there were going to be some excursions to sightseeing, some of the local monuments, some trails. I was really excited about that, and I was really excited to be able to go off on my own and explore somewhere I've never been before, just on my own with fellow students, and be able to travel all across Europe and be able to gain live professional experience, live hands-on experience. As an engineering student, it's all about the hands-on. That's usually what we would gravitate towards, and having that is really meaningful. But yeah, unfortunately, that was canceled because of COVID. And there was no way to get that hands-on experience anymore. But yeah, I decided to do it virtual because that's the way all of my friends who were doing other internships were going virtual too. And so I figure, why not spend my summer doing something productive, learning more about what I want to do rather than just sitting at home watching TV and doing nothing. And it was really good. I feel like I got a lot out of it. It was a lot of research, a lot of independent reading, note-taking, putting presentations together, giving weekly presentations to our supervisor. And it really helped me learn how to hold myself accountable for independent work. That's something that, in a group setting, your peers will hold you accountable. Your supervisor can walk in and say, hey, I need this right now. And that's something that we didn't have. We would go maybe 2 to 3 days without any communication. And so we would mostly go by what our meetings discussed. Maybe we got one email if they needed something right away. And that was another thing, our response time, always being available, because they're still your work hours. Even though you're not in the office during that time, I still needed to make myself available during the normal work hours. So I would have to respond within a certain amount of time, and especially because of the time difference from Ireland to Florida, I couldn't just take a few hours and get it in by the end of my day because it was already the end of their day.
Tell us a little bit about the business. What did they do?
So I worked with a business in space technology. So they use things like satellite communications, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, and they would apply it to the ground. So Earth, they would use technology developed from the space industry to solve problems here on Earth. The problem that I was working on is water, and it's a huge issue nowadays, especially in third world countries. So the project that I was on, we were working to develop an autonomous water monitoring system that would be deployed in Africa, and it would in real time be able to send data based on diseases in the water.
Think of how seismic the possibilities are for some technology like that, particularly in less well-developed countries, or really in any. I mean, there's boil water notices in Ireland all the time. If there's an E. coli issue, those types of things. So, I mean, it's applicable in any country, but obviously one would imagine certain countries would benefit from it on an exponential scale. So what a cool project to be involved in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I did mainly was work on the mechanical structure that the detecting all the technology would be in, because if it's deployed in water, it needs to be able to float. There are a lot of things that they needed input from on the mechanical engineering side. And my peer interns, one of them was a biomechanical engineering major. So she did a lot of research on the diseases in the water and their sizes and how they can be detected, like what stands out between each disease. And then another one, she was a grad student doing specifically space technology. So she knew a lot about how satellite communications work. So not only did I learn a lot about my own major, not only was I thrown into this learning curve situation to get experience in my field, but I was also able to learn how to work with people in other fields.
The other grads, are they UF interns as well, or coming from your program?
One of the other interns, she was a UF intern as well. She came from the same program. The other intern, she went to a university in Ireland, so she was actually out there. She got to meet with them a few times, so that was pretty cool for her. But even still, not being with them in person, we would communicate throughout the week via like different communication forums, like GroupMe and stuff like that, and get information from each other if we had any questions, or if something that we were doing, we needed some information in a different area that we didn't really have knowledge in. So we would communicate throughout the week. And yeah, like you said, even though we couldn't see each other in person, I was still able to learn how to work with other people across skill sets. And that will be something that's applied when I'm in person, because I'm going to be needed for a group project where they need a certain input from me, not because they already have 5 different mechanical engineers. So
yeah, that's great. So no regrets then?
Yeah, absolutely not. And I think especially given the circumstances with COVID and everything, my project was perfect.
Tell us a little bit about the challenges. What did you find difficult about it?
I think one of the biggest challenges that I had to face was I really had to learn how to stay self-motivated every day, and I had to learn how to work independently, not in a classroom setting, not with a very specific outline of my assignment. And I think I did. I think I proved to myself that I was able to work independently, and that I was able to hold myself accountable and bring new information weekly. At first, I didn't really understand what the position of an intern entailed. I was heading group projects, in my clubs, I have a leadership role. So coming in as an intern, I had to really understand my role and my place in the company.
So how long was the internship in general?
It was an 8-week internship.
8-week internship. What do you think about the length of time? Enough? Too much?
I thought it was a perfect amount, honestly. And it worked out really well with the company that I was with in the project that I was on. It was also, it took up the part of my summer where I didn't really have anything going on. It was the bulk of my summer. And now I have a couple weeks before my semester starts to relax my brain a bit before I go back to school. So I would say 8 to 10 weeks is a perfect amount of time for that.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, look, I want to thank you for giving us the kind of your thoughts on virtual internships. And what I'm hearing is that you're very positive about them. You know, in the absence of the possibility of taking an in-person internship, and for some people, possibly it may be the only option for them because travel is just not something that's achievable for them. So there is real benefit in this virtual piece because you're working in an international environment, but you're able to do it from home. So I really like that. Half the world, you notice. I mean, when we started talking, I hadn't put up this background and this, you know, sitting in the sitting room, and everybody in the world has their own, carved out their own little space, you know. But we can go kind of sideways a little bit. It's interesting. I was saying earlier that, you know, you're in a major and an industry that is largely male dominated, and you know, what was your thoughts when you were applying to UF or to college in general? Did you always want to do engineering? Where did that come from?
Actually, my entire life, I was a dancer. So it wasn't until high school. Yeah, it wasn't until high school I realized that I had a natural knack for math. And that was something I noticed a lot of other people really struggled with. So I started to take note of that. And when I was going on college tours my junior year, my dad took me to 2 of the top schools in each area, NYU, where it's in New York City in the middle of Broadway and dance and all of that, and then MIT. And I think after that, I realized that I wanted to do engineering. The male dominant thing, it hasn't gone away, because even in a school like UF, where it's public, and I would say the split between female and male students is pretty even in general. In my classes, moving forward, the female percentage of them has decreased every semester. And I'll run into issues from time to time where I'm not necessarily taken seriously when I'm with a group studying, and maybe my input isn't listened to right away. But you know, I don't let that discourage me. I really trust myself and my knowledge, and I just continue to put myself out there as much as I can. And then eventually, you know, it's proven that I'm a legitimate student. But I would say to all the girls out there who are thinking about doing engineering and maybe running into these issues, don't let it discourage you. Just continue to stay strong, you know, trust your knowledge. Work hard on your own and study and secure that for yourself. And when you're in a group setting and if people don't take you seriously, you know, take yourself seriously. Like, just continue to put yourself out there. Yeah,
I think that real ability and dedication becomes self-evident as things go on. And the situations that you're talking about where, you know, you're not taken seriously. I mean, many of the women in my life, my wife and you know, her mother, my mother, my sister, those, I hear similar situations in terms of that in their work fields quite a lot. In fact, my mother-in-law is a electrical engineer, and so she's worked in that industry for years. She just retired, but and she has many stories about exactly what you're talking about, where your opinion is just not taken for granted. So what's the plan? You're third year now. What are you going to do? You're going to go and do a master's, or are you going to go on and go straight into the workplace, or what's the plan?
I had been considering going into graduate school to get my master's, and then maybe someday getting a PhD, and then having the option to be a professor maybe later in life. But that'll honestly depend. If I'm offered a job out of my 4th year, I think I would definitely definitely go that route for sure. You know, coming out of this experience, you know, I have a really unique set of skills now. And so I'm excited to see how that will translate into, you know, online schooling and online interviews and moving forward in my education, my career. I think I have a unique opportunity right now coming out of a really successful experience, and then a unique opportunity as a female who has this experience. So yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think you do. I think you never a truer word was spoken. You've done great. And I think, you know, one of the last things I'll say is that for anybody who's doing an internship, particularly virtual internship, you haven't finished your internship until you've ensured that you're able to tell the story of that internship to people that need to listen to it, be it, you know, a prospective employer, be it somebody else who's thinking about doing an internship and can benefit from your experience, which I'm hoping this podcast will be able to do it, or be it an application for you know, postgraduate study, those types of things. Being able to deliver that story is really important. Telling your message of, you know, why does this make you, you know, a really stand-up candidate for what they're looking for. So that. But for now, I just want to say thanks so much, Ireland. It's been really, really interesting chatting to you. I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how you go forward in this world domination, and I've no doubt that you're going to blaze a trail. So thanks very much for giving us your time, and I'm wishing you all the very best.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I hope that this was able to give students who are considering the same sort of experience, I hope that they can benefit from the information and the new and unique experience that I had.
Great. Listen, enjoy your day and
You,
your
you
couple of weeks
too.
off before school starts again.
Thanks so much.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.